Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another edition of the Big Hairy News. With
Good
Chewie and I.
evening.
Good evening to you, sir. It's lovely to see you again. And I love to count. Yeah, how are you, man? Good to see you. Good to have you back. Good to be spending some time fucking around with you, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love some of the. I actually love the headline for the show. We could use that basically at any point. I think. Just save it. Just Plunket's being a fuckwit again. Love it.
Look, well, maybe we'll just start there. I just so people know, right? I am a little bit discombobulated and a little bit disordered tonight, so you'll bear with us if a few of the clips aren't quite as specifically cut as they normally are. My 13-year-old had her tonsils out today, so she's at her mum's at the moment, and her mum's looking after most of the stuff. But to give her mum a break, I went in during dinner time and hung out there for an hour or so. And so my prep time has been significantly impacted tonight. Look at all these people saying, g'day, 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 g'day. Look at them all going for it. So tonight's a little bit more, it's not quite off the cuff. We do have prep and stuff, but it's going to be a bit more chill and maybe not quite so rigidly prepped as it normally is.
Important question.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Important question about having your tonsils out. What flavor ice cream?
Yeah, actually, vanilla from the looks of it at the hospital.
Oh, okay, the old standard.
Yeah, but she's at her mum's, and so today I went to the supermarket and got her 2 pints of Ben and Jerry's.
There we go.
And I got we have this, because I'm doing this eating thing at the moment. I'm at about 36 kilos, I think. One of the things that I like to get is one of my treats is a Meadow Fresh yogurt, and it's called like berries and cream. And it's quite highly pointed. It's quite highly, I'm doing Weight Watchers, so it's a point system. So it's quite a lot of points, but it's delicious. And when my kids come here, they're like, "Mum doesn't fucking," or they don't say fucking because they're good kids. "Mum doesn't fucking buy this stuff," and so it just disappears. So I got her a 6-pack of that as well because it'll be nice and cold for her throat. And I bought her some of those. You can buy those little plastic containers of Jello and fruit. And I got her some straight fruit, some grapes, which is one of her favorites, some mandarins and that sort of stuff. And yeah, like some fruit slushies that you suck out of a little tube and stuff. So all sorts of things that she can swallow and be chilled. And so she'll be coming back to her mum's tomorrow, and I'll pop over and take her a big care package, and that'll be my part of it. So yes, so it'll be Ben and Jerry's from tomorrow. But look, I got to say, man, you know how everyone thinks that public money makes things bad? Fucking the Dunedin Hospital, man. The kudos to you guys. My kid was in there today, got all the stuff done, and has her own room.
Okay.
There's a PlayStation in the room. Got an ensuite in the room. It's like I'm just sitting there going, these people who think public money equals, conditions attached and equals, it means that this thing's not going to work. It's just like, dude, look at the system. It's like when things go well in the public health system, they go really, really well. So my kid's sitting there and getting fed and having ice cream and had her tonsils and adenoids out. And yeah, it's just a fantastic thing. I'm so very, very grateful. So yeah, and that was a big summary around two things. One is that obviously to say what my day's been, but two is to say tonight's going to be a little. People will know that when I normally flick over to stuff, there's like highlighted text and that kind of stuff because I've known exactly what I'm going to say. Tonight is more like I know what the headline is, and we'll talk about it subject wise, but I haven't really delved as deeply because I haven't quite had the same time whilst being at hospital, making my child feel better tonight. So yes.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no. How about you, bro? What's been happening today, yesterday? Since we've seen
Oh, I am having a bachelor week. My wife is away doing her what do they call it? Well, because she's doing distance learning to become an art therapist. Once a semester, I think they go up to Auckland, so everybody gets together and they do their presentations and that sort of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it's just me and the dog for the week, and the dog is very much not happy about that because I don't give her as much treats,
Yeah.
and I'm much more boring than my wife for that. So yeah, every now and then she'll just come in here and just go boof, and then
That's
like
the noise.
throw a toy at me and then run away, and I'm like, okay, cool, I know what you want.
We should get the dogs together at the park. We should have a bit of run round.
Yeah, your big long lanky one and my little dwarf.
Well, mine's not big and long. Mine's only 18 kilos. It's not big. I was just saying, look, it's some funny messages coming at the moment. Like what does Rose say? Any excuse for ice cream? Yeah, someone gets their tonsils cut out just so they can have ice cream. Adam's abusing me for using the word pints. I only use pints because that's what they are. They're pints of ice cream. That's what they call them. And look, Chewy, the love. Yay, Chewy tonight.
Yay,
the love.
yay me.
And the people are going on. More people. Hello, good evening to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Yes, Stephen, we all love our dogs. I don't have mine in the studio tonight. I think she's up on the couch, involved in something on Netflix. Yeah. So tonight you said you loved the headline. I've already kind of forgotten the headline. But there is a man who seems to want to position himself as the free speech expert in New Zealand, and apparently that means I can do what I want and say what I want and treat people how I want, and when it backfires and people don't then want to play with you, becomes the biggest snowflake and victim in the world, and basically
he does a big sad.
Yeah, and says, look, they won't come on my show because they're weak. Like, he's still talking about Paula Penfold not going on a show. We're talking about Sean Plunket, by the way, and people haven't picked up on it. He's still complaining that Paula Penfold didn't come on after he spent days basically telling the world, or his conspiracy theorist listeners' world, that this thing that she did was a piece of shit and it was terrible. And then it was like, why do you think they're not coming on? And I remember when we did this with Suze Wilson, I said then that he is not going to get access very, very quickly to very many people, because who would want to volunteer to go on and be yelled at for 6 minutes? You know, who I mean, you let me do that to you, Chewy, but I mean, normal people don't do that. We're sadists.
I mean, for someone that's been in the industry as long as he has, like, he should know that there's a line you've got to walk when you're doing, say, maybe a combative type interview, is that you've got to needle them enough to get the answers that you want, or at least the sound bites that you want, without completely burning your bridge with every other guest you're going to play afterwards. This guy's got a reputation for just ringing up women live on air and just harassing them.
Funny, was a woman he did that to today. I laughed. Sorry, I was laughing there.
Shook
because for some reason I thought you were going to say he was blowing his load. You worded it a different way, but I thought that's what you were going to say.
No, we're not going to show a clip of Plunket blowing his load. That would be too much.
So as with the organization of the show, maybe that's where we should actually start and get into this conversation with this utter pile of crap.
I've just realized I haven't watched the clip yet.
Yeah,
but I'm just going to take a stab in the dark here. Is it about Terrell?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's he gone after?
So do you want to know the biggest controversy in Sean Plunket's world today? Do you want to know what it is? It is.
Is it still Whittaker's?
Are you sitting down?
I am.
You might want to lie down. Can you lie down?
I think I can. This
is.
Yep. I'm good. Tell me.
It is that Countdown is encouraging Kiwis to check out Te Reo for Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. So there is an option now on countdown checkouts that people can pick Māori if they want to.
What? And that's what he's. Oh Jesus. Okay, so you can push a button and you can try it out. It's not being forced on anybody.
In a world first, Kiwis are now able to complete their supermarket shopping in te reo Māori. Well, it kind of makes sense it'd be a world first, because where else would it fucking happen? Anyway, at any countdown stores across Aotearoa, working in collaboration with Te Tauda, Whiri, Te Reo Māori, my apologies on the pronunciation there, the Māori Language Commission, Countdown's self-service checkouts, SCOs, now have te reo available as a language option for customers, allowing them to complete the checkout process in Aotearoa's Indigenous language. How fucking awesome is that? Should we start with that? How awesome is that? I'm so going to do that if I ever decide to go to Countdown.
Yeah. No, and it's also it's awesome. And it is something that is so easy to implement. Like you go to Europe, you go to self-service, you go to an ATM or something like that, you'll have French, German, Spanish, all the English, all of the language, Italian, we'll chuck that in there as well. It's an option. It's not the end of the world, Sean.
So the biggest story in his world today is that Countdown has added an option of being able to have your automated checkout server speak to you in Māori. That is the current culture war coming off that. You know how you're not supposed to use the R word? You're not supposed to. Can you say fucktard? Like, is that, or is that sort of the same thing in a different way? But are you allowed to say that?
I'll allow it.
Okay. That fucktards platform. It's just the absolute definition of right-wing culture wars, making something of nothing, trying to get a rise out of people. It's repugnant. And look, one of the things I've sort of realized over the last few weeks about some of the people who are in that sort of far right world, especially the conspiracy theory world, especially the alt-right world, is they're not very smart. This is the kind of thing you put out there to a not very smart audience to get a reaction out of them. It's reactionary. It's not good broadcasting. It's not good storytelling. It's not good narrative. It's something for people who are primarily older, primarily white, to get their knickers in a bunch about. It's just weird.
Yeah. The world is scary. It's changing, and I don't like it.
Should we have a look at some of it? Because it's not just that the knickers are in a bunch, right? That's a part of the thing. But the second thing is he, again, did the whole, let's call this person live on air. And that is disgusting.
This.
Let's have a listen.
I hate it.
Benny, did we get any? We got back to her, and is she going to come on or not? Why not? She didn't say. What? No, come in here and tell me. Come in here and get on the microphone. Let's just sort this out.
Do you know what it is? It's like if you had teenagers at school doing a radio station and they were trying to be edgy. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. It's like, well, let's make a fuss and let's make this edgy and stuff.
Professional, Sean.
Okay, all right. So, what did you say? What did she say?
Well, I just went back to her and said, well, I'm surprised that you thought we were RNZ because, I mean, first of all, my email that I sent it to is being at the platform.kiwi. I said I produced the morning show on the platform for Sean Plunket. Would you like to come and talk to us about
I think
it
it's
today
Kitty Hannafin here, who's the head of marketing or whatever, and she accepted an interview, and then she realized who it was, because the platform is getting a reputation for being assholes, and then she said no. And this is the result of the platform having heard no from someone.
Corporate affairs or whatever for Countdown and not be an observant person.
So we've rung her back. We said, well, sorry about your misunderstanding. We haven't misrepresented ourselves at all.
We'd like to offer you the chance to come on the show. The show's open between now and 9 o'clock.
And she declined.
She just refused and said she didn't feel
they offered her the chance and she declined.
That issue during Māori Language Week. So, it looks like a no. But she seemed quite happy to do it with RNZ. Obviously, you mentioned for which you were there.
So has she been on RNZ? Have we figured out she actually done an interview on RNZ?
No, I think the mix-up was she thought that she was going on RNZ and we were RNZ, yeah.
Well, we're better than Radio New Zealand.
Oh, good. How does that, I mean, honestly, think about that teenager thing. Well, my dad's stronger than your dad. My dad's cooler than your dad.
So I thought I'd send a follow-up text, but it doesn't look like we're going to
brainworms on
get that one.
I wonder if we don't ring her live on here.
Why not? We've done it before.
We've done it before.
But, do I have to be complaints department again for that one?
Yeah, you will.
Okay.
You will. Okay. So what we'll do is we're going to take a break. We're then going to give her a ring live on here and see if she'll answer the phone, and we'll just try and get that.
Honestly,
such a shitty thing to do.
I'm not a huge fan of the broadcasting standards. Here we go.
Hello? Is that Kerry?
Hello. Yeah.
Kerry, it's Sean Plunket calling from the platform.
Hi.
Hi. We're just trying to figure out what happened this morning.
Oh, look, Sean, I made a mistake. I thought I was in an RNZ interview, which I was happy to take, but I'm not really that keen to sort of be grilled on whether or not.
Be your whipping boy or girl.
Completely misguided.
Because you're an asshole.
I just don't want to be really questioned on whether.
I'm just, okay, can I establish first? So we sent you an email.
Yes, Sean, she made a mistake. She was confused as to who it was coming from because you used to be a person of worth and you used to be a person with a position that was recognizable. So your name is still associated with RNZ, and she got confused and she said yes. Then she realized what it was and said no. That part of the conversation's over.
It's a matter that needs to be, criticised or questioned.
So it's basically just a piece of PR spin and you wanted an easy ride.
Yeah, that's exactly why I don't want to do it with you, for that exact reason.
Wow.
And now
Kerry, that's an amazing
he's trying to sell this now as if that wasn't sarcasm back from her. It's like me saying to you, Chewy, I don't know, oh, so the only reason you're here is to get fame and fortune and to live off my coattails. And you go, yeah, Pat, that's exactly why I'm here. That's exactly how she answered it. And now this is the new narrative he's selling, that they got an exclusive, that they got her to admit to this thing. It's just, I don't even say it's disgusting. It's just moronic. Yeah. It's utterly moronic.
Did you have a whole lot of customers who wanted you to make your checkout robots bilingual?
Sean, I really just don't think it's an appropriate conversation to have.
Well,
with
then
each other.
why bother putting out a media release singing your praises?
Because she doesn't want to talk to you, you fucktard.
Okay, thank you. Yep, I hear your view. Yep, that's fine. Thanks, Sean. Sorry to muck around your team.
Well, no, you really have. But more than that, Kerry.
Oh, you crack.
I think it makes Countdown look like they're not really prepared to enter into genuine public debate about issues of the day.
About
and that you're just trying to
you fucking pile of crap. A debate around whether a private company chooses to put an option for Māori on their self-automated checkout. Where's the fucking debate? You absolute lunatic.
They're just not prepared to enter that debate.
Te Reo week for your own public relations purposes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you for your view. We know that's not correct, but that.
Well, what is correct then, Kerry? What is correct?
Am I on air, Sean?
Yeah.
That's incredibly misleading.
No, it's not. I asked for an interview, and you said you'd give one. So
and then she said no.
For these very reasons. No, that's really, really not okay.
Well, I think promising to give an interview and then not giving it isn't okay.
Okay, here comes Snowflake.
All right.
Snowflake Plunket.
Have a good day, everybody.
All right, cheers. Bye. Well, that's amazing because we did get the admission.
Oh, my God.
We don't want to be interviewed because this is just a PR stunt.
Yeah. That's enough, isn't it? Don't need more of that.
No, please, no.
I mean, I like Caitlin's comment. Oh, that wasn't even that one. Where is it? Oh, it's jumped up. There it is. Caitlin's one. There you go.
Yeah. With as much force as you. This is the problem with smartphones, is that you can't slam it down unless you need to go.
Hey, there's a good app. Can we do an app that's the sound of it being slammed
just a
down?
big bang.
Yeah.
This is why you need like a wooden mallet and a chopping board next to you every time you're on the phone. You just.
And look, this person who's trying to sell this idea, right? That all of these woke tards out there, these woke people, you know how much I hate that word and how it means nothing. And we already know, and I've played it for you from a podcast or an interview I did with Sean Plunket, that woke to him means anyone who disagrees with me. He literally said that and literally responded to that, right? And surely he can't have been joking, or he can't have been using sarcasm, because that obviously doesn't exist in his dialect when he said that to me. So it's just the most. I was going to say before, I'm not a huge fan of the Broadcasting Standards Authority. I worked in radio for 20 plus years, and really it's a toothless monster. You know, for people who don't know, it's got no power. It can censure people and it can censure stations, but it can't do anything. It's basically a voluntary group that the radio stations and broadcasters belong to. The other thing is there is no broadcasting standards on the internet. And I quite like that, because it gets us to be able to say and use words we want to do and go places we want to go. But this, like big poos, but this, what we just saw here, is the absolute reason that if I was to ever get behind broadcasting standards, it would be something like this. Because there's no laws against what he did, and there's no rules against what he did. But then after he did it, he then turns into the biggest snowflake. He calls people woke and he calls people snowflakes and he calls people victims. And then what happens is he becomes it when he goes, oh, Disinformation Project, they never talk to us. Oh, but Paula Penfold never comes in and talk to us. You know, and all these people that won't talk to him. And he's now spinning it as they won't talk to him because he's got something up and over them. They won't talk to him because he's an asshole. And because he's an asshole and he yells at people over the phone, they won't talk to him. And he either doesn't understand that. I don't believe he doesn't understand that. I believe this is somewhat of a role he's now playing. But he either doesn't understand that, right, which makes him fairly ridiculously dim as well, or he does and he's just playing a game. I actually believe he's playing a game. I don't believe he doesn't know what's going on, and I believe he's made his bed. We said it for months so far, Chewy, that you know he's got a dilemma, and that's either does he pitch to his far right QAnon audience to monetize them, or does he bring it back to a semblance of normality, which is probably where he sits truthfully politically, and then he'll lose the audience he's building and have no one.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you don't need a Broadcasting Standards Authority to come along and say what you just did there is morally not good and ethically completely fucked. You can just go, am I being a shitty person? And he's gone, I don't want to have that thought. I'll just be a shitty person again today. Like, he keeps doing it. It's just so frustrating. But it's very clear from the comments on that YouTube video that his audience that he's speaking to, the right-wing audience that he's pandering to, as Free Soul says here, eat it up. They absolutely eat it up. Like, absolutely no critical thought happening there. They're just going, yeah, that's it, Sean. You tell that supermarket who's boss. It's just ridiculous.
And the thing that's even more ridiculous about it is these people who are a free market ideology, that's where they live in. Capitalism is king, free market ideology. So a private business makes a private business decision, and then they think they can criticize them on it and think they can enter into public debate. Go fuck yourself. I mean, go fuck yourself.
He's 2 for 2 on the same issue in the last couple of weeks. He lost his mind when Whittaker's rebranded, put Tureo on their wrapper, and he's doing the same thing when Countdown decides to do. It's just something that has literally no negative connotation at all. It's like, here's another option on our checkout. It's such a small thing.
Yeah,
there's no downside. Some people would really appreciate it. It has, like, if you don't want it, you don't have to press the button. It's real easy. It's
a little bit like he puts out the vibe of the kind of people who might still be hanging on to Mount Egmont, not calling it Mount Taranaki.
Yeah,
it's Mount Egmont.
Actually, you just reminded me when was it? I think it was with the big Naitahu treaty settlement in the 90s. And this was probably it would have been about 13, 14 or something like that around that time. My first understanding of the treaty settlement process and that sort of thing. But part of Ngāi Tahu's claim was that they wanted Mount Cook to be given back. And I remember talkback at the paper at the time, just going nuts about the bloody Maoris they're taking mountains now. And they said nothing about it until the settlement was finalised. And then they said, well, we'd like it to be known as Aoraki Mount Cook, and we gift it back to all the people of New Zealand. And everyone was like, oh, that's pretty good. You're the first person I've actually heard say Mount Egmont for like 15 years.
Yeah, I know.
Like I'd forgotten about it.
And you know why that's on my mind at the moment, don't you?
Yeah.
More to come about that on Friday. Some messages that have been coming in about this. I think actually I'm going to leave Carl till last because I think Carl nails it. Rose says, shame the countdown woman didn't sign off in today. That would have been perfect. Cyrus says, what angers me the most about him is he's aware of what he's doing. I actually tend to agree with that. I think it's all a con. He's basically becoming a grifter, and he's aware, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that when business, mummy and daddy's money runs out, he needs to have an audience there to monetize, and he's chosen to go down this path. I think that's absolutely clear. Christine says, 100% right. They're not very smart. That's why they're so bloody entertaining. Speaking of the QAnoners. Did we put Rob's up before? How dare a woman say no to Plunket? And Carl, I love what Carl said to say. Carl's probably just said everything better than we have in the last 15 minutes in two lines. He's shocked that his previous shitty behavior has driven people away from talking to him, trying to manufacture outrage in a smaller and smaller echo chamber. Cha-ching.
Yep. And it's just going to get scummier and scummier in that and Sean Plunket's screaming bucket on the platform.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, and look, this kind of does lead us to actually he's kind of on our show tonight twice for two different reasons, but just because we love him so much. And he builds our audience. That's the only reason we do it, eh, Chewy? We only talk about him because it gets a good response out of you guys. That's literally the only reason. It's not, but because there's also a conversation going on at the moment. So actually, before I do that, because I'm kind of changing tack 10%, Chewy, anything else you want to say about that bit before we head off?
No, just that every time we have him do that, I can feel it also growing.
Jeez, how old am I?
I'm going to call it Sean.
How young is Jay, and how fucking old am I? I had no idea it was formerly called Egmont. Struth. Good Lord. Make me feel old. Because the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which he is a part of, but it's not the feature of what he is actually having a look at some of the response today to the mask stuff going on. And the reason I'm saying he's involved is because it's separate to what this was, but I saw a tweet out there that he sent out of other people, right? And if you're listening, maybe I said, if you're watching, it's a tweet. It's a cartoon character, 3 cartoon characters, and it's talking about virtue signaling overload. He's retweeted it. That's where I saw it. So, it's not really about him, but he's still involved. There's a group of people standing around in a circle, and then there's someone yelling off to the side, mandate or not, I'm still wearing a mask. The character off to the side puts the mask on. The circle of people, none of them have masks on, give them the thumbs up. They keep talking, and this person's isolated off to the side. So it's been bugging me a little bit, this idea. We talked a bit about this last night, Chewy, and I'm going to replay something as well here. It bugged me a little. It's bugging me a little bit. And it happened last night when we played Tova O'Brien speaking to old Piers Morgan. And Piers Morgan said this about the decision to change the. Are you gonna be okay tonight? Because you're gonna have Sean Plunket and Piers Morgan on the same night.
Jesus, it's like a trans-hemispherical shitstorm of terrible people.
Just playing 10 seconds of this, right? Also, and this is Piers Morgan. We played this yesterday, so we're not going to get into this. But these people who are out there telling us how badly these decisions are that the government's making and how they should have been made a long time ago.
It's amazing to me that she has dug herself into this position where she got all the plaudits early on for, in my view, quite rightly being very draconian in the early days before we had vaccines. But the moment you have successful vaccines, and a number of them, You have got to get back to normal life and protect the vulnerable and elderly. And she just seemed like a rabbit in headlights, frozen in her own self-glory, if you like, about how popular she was by being so draconian. But she was right to be tough early on, and I applauded her. But if you carry that on after you've got successful vaccines, you're going to end up where she is now, which is increasingly unpopular, paralyzing the country completely unnecessarily. She looked like, to me, like somebody who felt like the only way she could be popular was to stick to her original.
So that'll do, because we played that last night. So Piers Morgan's big concern is the Prime Minister losing her popularity.
Oh, of
not
course.
Actually,
she
not
wasn't
actually making
beforehand.
not actually making the best health decisions for the country. His criticism and his kind of gotcha moment is his evidence is clear because she's lost popularity. Like popularity's got anything to do with good public health practice. So we've got these, in my honest held belief, utter morons at the moment going around talking about, this needs to stop, this should have stopped, like the ones we've just shown. Yet you've got all the public health experts. And on this show in the last 3 days, we've had Michael Plank, Professor Michael Plank, Dr. David Welsh, Associate Professor Dr. Susie Wiles, Dr. Anna Brooks. We've watched Dr. Brian Betty. We've watched the Nurses Union all say, maybe not quite ready. We want to go there, but there is actually a couple of missing steps before we go there. So the experts are all saying one thing. The blowhards who think they have the answers are saying something else. And I'm getting a little bit tired of people thinking that the blowhards have an opinion that is as valid as people like Dr. Anna Brooks, who was literally in a laboratory, literally looking in a microscope, literally taking all the information and evidence about long COVID. To say that you have a better opinion, a more valid opinion than hers when it comes to the decision-making around COVID and masks, you have to be a moron to think that that's the case. So it's just frustrating me a lot. Look, I'm down for moving forward with masks. It's fine, what we're doing, and I'm making decisions that other people aren't. But for people to basically be saying that this was wrong and this has taken too long and this is my opinion and my opinion counts, well, I'm sorry, when you're actually the one doing the research, I'm going to listen to you more. And Stephen, no, there aren't other experts though. And this was a conversation going on last night, and we're not going to start it again in the chat tonight. The experts are massively outweighing the people who are doing the research. I don't care if you've got a PhD in playing chess. It doesn't mean that because you've got a PhD in playing chess, your opinion is a doctor who's in the lab doing the research with COVID. So no, there aren't other experts saying other things. Anyone who's associated with COVID, who is working on COVID, who is looking at COVID, is speaking with one voice, which is kind of going, don't know about this mask thing.
Well, it's the classic thing that we have, especially with media personalities, right? Is the pretense of being fair and balanced. So I'll get someone that is pro this thing, and I'll get someone who's anti this thing. And it makes it seem like it's a debate of equal halves. And it's just not. If you were going to talk about some of our anti-COVID measures, you would have 99 people on the side saying, yes, it's a good idea. And one guy who's been eating paint chips for the last 15 years saying it's a bad idea. So it's not a fair argument. I don't know if Piers Morgan has just found out about New Zealand because his assistants read him something in a book. He's in England. He's been spending all of his time harassing Meghan Markle. What does he even know about New Zealand?
Well,
why would you even talk to him about it?
Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Testable statements. I know that that's sometimes quite close to some of these people when they make detestable statements, but testable statements. Now, I think it would be fair to say if the New Zealand government got it so badly, we'd be able to see that in the data. We looked last night at the deaths. You don't see that in the data. So today, ratings agency S&P gives New Zealand economy big thumbs up despite current account. Look this up yourself. We're not going to go through its entirety, but international ratings agency S&P Global says New Zealand, quote, managed the pandemic better than most countries in terms of health, fiscal, and economic outcomes. Okay, I put Exhibit A before you, Mr. Morgan. Other than your blowhard opinion, show me your evidence. Here's Exhibit A, right? Some financial experts, not saying they're always right and we're going to support them all the time, but putting out there that this country has managed the pandemic better than most countries in terms of health, fiscal, and economic outcomes. Exhibit A. I await Exhibit B, Mr. Morgan.
I mean, Morgan's in the UK now?
Yeah, well, he's doing
US
something
for a while,
on Fox. I think he probably goes backwards and forwards, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. So I read something the other day that in the post-pandemic, post-Brexit fucking shit show that's going on over in the UK, they have lost $11 billion per year out of their economy. It's like 4% of their GDP out of that chain of decisions. So anybody sort of looking at how they did it in the UK, where they stacked up bodies left, right, and centre and just went, we've got to get the cafes open, and it didn't work. And then what we did, which is like stay home for a bit and wear a mask and don't be a dick to people. And it seems like we've picked a winner. And I just hope that in the run up to the election and all the relitigation of the decisions that were made at the time with the information that we had to hand, we don't hindsight this thing into death. Because I think we're still ahead of the curve for like normal expected deaths year on year.
Yeah, completely. We've got more testable data to come through. But before we do this, we're sort of starting to move away from the Plunket conversation. But I do want to put something out there. I think you guys missed the context. I didn't.
No, we didn't.
The Countdown media lady was okay with being interviewed by Plunket. The problem arose when she realized he did not work for the government-funded RNZ. Is BHN also government-funded? Fuck, I wish, bro. Take it.
That's why I've got this great set behind me.
Yeah. Let me address a couple of things here, right? And this is going to sound real wanky, but see that one there, and that one there, and that one there. Like, this is one of numerous broadcasting awards that I've won all over the world, in the US and the UK and Australia and New Zealand. I'm not saying that to say yay me, yay me, but when we talk about people who are having an expert opinion, I feel pretty qualified to be able to tell you how broadcasting works. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but I've been doing it for a long time at a particularly high level and working with the best in the business. Yeah. If Countdown Media lady said, I'll talk to you, and then goes, oh no, I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's it. You don't get to then go, well, you said you would. You said you would. So now you have to.
It's not a written contract.
You don't have to. So, Nicholas, that you are 100% wrong, and we know the context, and the context is horse shit, right? And the reason that she didn't want to go on is obviously because Plunket is an asshole. He is a big, hairy, sticky, needing to be wiped asshole. And he treats his contributors and guests that he doesn't agree with like dirt on the soles of his shoe. And it's just fucking ironic how often that will be a female. Far, far more.
Well, that seems to be
if
the
it
trend,
was a male.
That seems to be the trend. That's the trend that we've seen all the way along. I have been scrambling around looking for awards as well. But
I'm sorry. I know that was fairly cringe what I just did, but
I don't work for them anymore, so I think I can put up like a Top Gun Sales Award, JB Hi-Fi.
Nice.
So there you go. That's just one that I had to hand.
Look, I know what I just did was a bit cringe, but what I'm saying is, I have worked in that industry for a long time. I have produced Paul Holmes's breakfast show. I've been involved with that. I've worked on the #1 radio station in the country. I've had the #1 rating radio show in my time slot for 7 straight years. I know how the system works. I know the ethics and the appropriateness around getting interviews. I'm not doing this to blow smoke up my own ass because no one else will. I'm telling you this because I feel that I have a pretty well-rounded set of skills and experience to be able to talk to. This is not an appropriate reaction from a broadcaster to an interviewee. It's not. And the reason she didn't want to go on is because Plunket gets people on and he yells at them. And you know what? The community is starting to learn that. There is a reputation coming now. So if you get an interview to go on RNZ, on News Talk ZB, or Today FM, or any other station, you know what's going to happen to you. If you get an interview to go on the Plunket, if he disagrees with you, you're going to be screamed at. If he likes you, a la Chantel Baker, he's going to stick his nose firmly up your ass and offer you a fucking job. Right? So this is why people are not going on or not wanting to go on, because they don't want to participate in his theater, the theater of the alt-right, the theater of the QAnon. They don't want to have a part to play in it. When they don't, he then cries and whimps and turns into a snowflake like he claims everyone else does.
Yeah, there's a whole term for it. He's sea lining.
Explain that to me.
Sea lining refers to the disingenuous action by a commentator of making an effort to engage in sincere and civil debate, but asking a persistent series of questions that will just go down a path. And when they don't want to go down that path, then you win. That's not about information. It's about winning. And it's about badgering people. And then when they sort of go, well, I don't want to be a part of this because you're not a good actor on this, then you win. He won that. And there's people that are definitely seeing that voice, like the commentator saying that we missed the point, that there was an agreement. It's not a written down thing. It's like anything. Consent can be withdrawn for whatever reason. That's it. You lost. You lost because this person realized who you are and what you were doing and wanted to do something different with their day. That's it.
Yep. And look, here's the thing, right? And you've probably heard me say this if you watch the show, but I'm sure you've definitely heard me say this. I'm not entitled to anybody's time for any length of time or anything. Plunket is basically demonstrating what he claims the woke left do. He's demonstrating a huge amount of entitlement. He thinks he's entitled to speak to people. I've said it numerous times here. I'm not entitled to anyone's time. I try and set up all sorts of podcasts. I'm talking to Don McGlashan tomorrow morning for a podcast. I'm very excited about that, about being halfway down Dominion Road. But I'm not entitled to his time. I'm not entitled to anybody's time for the podcasting that I do. And even if I do manage to get one, I'm not entitled to keep them for as long as I want. They can get up and walk out anytime they want to. And there's this. And I think that's it. It's almost the entitlement that you see going on. It is actually exactly what it's projection, he talks about all these entitled woke people and all these people. What is he doing? You said yes, so therefore I am going to interview you. I have the right to, he's a fucking Karen. There you go. Karen Plunket. From now on, it's Karen Plunket on this show. All right? Deal?
Deal. I also have to say that I'm glad that Paul has remembered something that I called him last time. That Sean Plunket is an onion of shit. Every time you peel a layer back, more shit. You just keep going. Never ends.
Let me say this for people who are watching this who might get door stopped. That's what it's called, getting door stopped. In the old days, it was the journalist turning up and I'd like a comment with a camera in your face. Just start swearing. Because business mummy and daddy, that's their one condition. No swearing on the platform. Just start swearing. Don't even get angry. Oh, how the fuck are you? It's having a fucking good day. It's a fuck. What the fuck's been going on with you? Yeah, fuck you. Oh, you're a good cunt, Sean. Let's just go for it. I mean, don't be angry. Just tell Karen Plunket what you're feeling and use every expletive in the world, and he'll have to move you on. Yeah, fuck this and fuck that, and every expletive. Don't have to. Everyone's agreeing. Like, okay, now I like this. That was an off the cuff, but maybe we need to get a t-shirt done. Look,
we could get his face with the Karen asymmetrical haircut.
It's Paul. It's Paul Cook's actually right. Oh, dude, we got to do that. All right, are there any t-shirt makers out there watching? Contact us. Go to patbritton.com. Contact me, and let's get a Karen Plunket shirt done. We'll sell it, raise some money for this thing, because unlike what someone accused us of tonight, which I would happily take, we don't have any funding from anyone yet. We do this for the love of it. All right, Karen Plunket. Don't you love it when you kind of spitball as you're talking and then just...
But that's how I got onion of shit.
Yeah.
Which is a delightful image.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to work on that today, tomorrow. Yep. Maybe not tomorrow because I've got a podcast halfway down Dominion Road, but I'll look at that. Karen Plunket would be fantastic. You'd buy one, eh? Everyone watching would buy one. Everyone watching would buy a Karen Plunket.
And this is now a verbal contract with all of you, and consent cannot be withdrawn. You all have to buy
What's their
a t-shirt.
logo? What's their slogan? Something like the resistance. We'll find a play on words with their slogan, and we'll do a Karen Plunket, and we'll do like a fight the. I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. All right. So I'm enjoying this conversation, but I do want to get back to, we're talking about testable statements. Yeah. It's in the same theme. As I said to you at the start of this isn't a particularly well organized show tonight because I've been at hospital with my 13-year-old for a tonsillitis, but these are the themes we're talking about. There's another theme to do with these people offering their opinions when the experts are disagreeing with them. So another person offering an opinion is Christopher Luxon on breakfast this morning. Talking about the COVID restrictions being lifted, this is what he had to say.
COVID restrictions have now significantly eased. The government has made the decision to drop the traffic light system and end those mandates. Where do you stand on that?
Fully supportive, Maddie. We've been talking about that for some months now, and I just think the reality is New Zealanders are over it and they want to move on, and the rest of the world's done the same, and the rest of the world's going forward as well. So I think it's entirely appropriate, and we're very supportive of that. It's probably come a little bit too late, frankly, but onwards and upwards.
Although you mentioned moving on, COVID is still here though, and a lot of people are still getting very sick from it. People are dying. Close to 2,000 people have died in this country because of COVID-related illnesses. So do you still take it seriously? Do you still take COVID seriously?
He never has.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just encourage everybody to make use of the boosters. It would be great actually to see the boosters more freely available like they are in Australia for over 30s.
Credit where credit's due.
I think and making mask use personal choice and making sure that in aged care and healthcare, where the big risk sits, that it's actually, continues. That's a good thing. But I think we're on the balance, it's now time for us to move on. And I think as you've seen, Kiwis, have really struggled with the traffic light system for months now. It hasn't made a lot of sense. It's been a complexity that hasn't been very useful up until this point. And so, we're just encouraging of
don't get too bored, people. We are going somewhere with this.
We support what they're doing, but let's get moving now.
Although they were public health measures that kept us safe for a very long time, and I get it. It's a balancing act, right? But we did speak to Dr. Brian Betty yesterday from the Royal New Zealand College of General Practitioners, who spoke about the under pressure healthcare system and the increased pressure that they might now face because of these the relaxing of these measures. So how would you support those workers in our healthcare system to know that they can do the job that they need to do, given these measures have now been relaxed?
I'm enjoying the comments in the chat. I missed, what was it, Mr. No? What was it? Mr. Outcomes. Mr. Outcomes, yawn. So he's just been, just check this, right? He's just been asked directly, how would you do this? What do you think the answer is going to be, Chewy? Do you think it's going to be a clear and concise response from Mr. Luxon as to how he, as a Prime Minister, would fix this problem? Or
no, he's going to chuck it. He's going to
shit on Labour.
He's just going to chuck a dictionary into a blender and see what happens. But I'm sure it's going to land on consequences, jail the poor, and just into bed.
There we go.
Relaxed.
Well, look, Maddie, our healthcare system is under huge pressure. I mean, on every healthcare metric, we've gone backwards over the last 4 years.
Okay. Testable statement. On every healthcare metric, we've gone backwards over the last 4 years. Testable statement.
A big challenge that we've got is that we're building a big bureaucracy here in Wellington, and really we should have those resources invested in frontline services, doctors, nurses, extra ICU beds, those kinds of services and investments that need to be made. So, from my point of view, it's about making sure that we make sure our healthcare system is delivering outcomes and it's actually improving, the targets that we need to see for delivering health in New Zealand.
40 seconds of giving an answer and saying nothing. Right. Every metric over the last 4 years, we've gone backwards. Every metric. Do you understand the theory of the black swan theory, Chewy? Have you heard that before?
No. What's that?
So basically, the black swan theory goes like this: if I was to make the statement all swans are white, you would only need one black swan to disprove that statement.
Oh yes. Okay. Yep.
Right. So every metric, I would only need one metric to disprove that statement. The theory of the black swan, or the black swan theory. So let's just have a look at a couple of things to start off with, right? And this is not a metric about New Zealand's health system, but I found this, and it's got to do with what I'm going to show you. And I was shocked, actually, that in the US at the moment, life expectancy has plunged again. US life expectancy dropped for the second consecutive year in 2021, falling by nearly a year from 2020, according to government report. In the first 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic, the estimated American lifespan was shortened by nearly 3 years. The last comparable decrease happened in the early 40s during the height of World War II. If people can't see the maths here and understand that this pandemic has affected life expectancy in America like fucking World War II did, then there is no educating you. You are a lost cause. I wouldn't trust you to sit the right way on a toilet seat. Read you a bit more of this. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention officials blamed COVID-19 for about half the decline of 2021, a year where vaccinations became widely available, but new coronavirus variants caused waves of hospitalizations and deaths. Other contributors to the decline are long-standing problems, drug overdoses, heart disease, suicide, and chronic liver disease. It's enough of that story, right? You guys are too funny. I was being really serious and made a really harsh and cutting point about sitting on a toilet seat, and Bradley just goes, "There's a wrong way." Actually, there's not really a wrong way, because if you sit backwards and you put your chest up against like the cistern, then you can like put a bowl of cereal on there in the morning and kind of go for two at once. It's kind of handy, actually.
Yeah, there's no wrong way because there's nothing actually illegal. The police can't come into your house and take you away for doing it.
But if it's an option, perhaps Karen Plunket would be upset about it. Right. Here's a metric that involves the last 4 years of what's been happening with New Zealand health. Research shows New Zealand life expectancy dropped in 2021 after a 2020 increase. New Zealand average life expectancy did drop in 2021, but is still higher than it was pre-pandemic, new research has shown. While life expectancy for the average Kiwi dropped slightly between 20 and 2021, we are one of 3 countries, 3, to have seen an increase since 2019. Now, just looking at numbers and thinking about the health industry, would life expectancy be a metric that we could measure to see if there'd been any positive outcomes? Would one of 3 countries in the world with an improving life expectancy be a positive metric, in your opinion, Sir Chewy?
It could be something. There might be something in that people are staying alive longer here in the middle of a global pandemic that's killing people. That's phenomenal.
Reflect this back to Piers Morgan, and reflect this back to people like Karen Plunket. I'm loving that name. I know it is. I'm loving that name. And them all saying that the experts that have been guiding us through this are now wrong. Yet those experts who have been given public information, some of them have been advising the government, and the government's been acting on that information, shall I say led to, or should I say contributing factor? I think I can say led to us being one of 3 countries in the world. Well, I should probably be careful with that. In the surveyed world, the ones that they're surveying, having an increased life expectancy. I'll read some more of this. Research yet to be peer reviewed, important to remember that, from Virginia Commonwealth University and University of Colorado, studied the life expectancy of the United States and 19 peer nations from 2019 to 2021. The peer nations were mostly European, with the addition of New Zealand, South Korea, and Israel. The average New Zealander was expected to live 80.99 in 2021, a drop of about 4 months from 82.36 in 2020. However, this is still higher than New Zealand's 2019 life expectancy of 81.65. Along with Norway and South Korea, New Zealand was one of only 3 countries to gain life expectancy since 2019. So I will ask you again, Mr. Luxon, is that a metric that the health system that can be tested on, that hasn't gone backwards, it's literally gone forward. It's literally longer. Does that mean, Mr. Luxon, that you are misinformed or are you disinformed? I would like to know the answer to that question.
It's just more corporate speak from him as well. Again, it's all outcomes and metrics and KPIs, and like government doesn't work like that. Like the timelines are too short for that. You're not talking about next financial year we're going to turn around the entire health system, because you're on a one-way trip to a fucking hiding if you try it. Because we'll sit there and go, hey, you said this. What have you done? Oh, well, you know, I found out that it's hard now. Yeah, no shit. No shit. And why is the metric only 4 years? You know, he's talking about like one term of government. Is it because if we bring up the graph of the last 10 years, it'll tell a different story?
I'm just, I'm a bit fired up. Look, we've said it before.
You keep on saying that he's not going to get rolled. I don't know. If he keeps on talking like this, he will.
But there's no one else. That's the thing. There's no one else. Love him or hate him, there's no one else.
I'm just saying, every time you see him, there's Nicola Willis just behind him, making sure her lipstick's up to date, because she might have to step forward at a moment's notice.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the comments that have been coming in, our death rates from COVID are also much lower. One of the reasons for that is because we had such a good result in those first kind of 14, 15 months with very few deaths, and we never caught up to the rest of the world. Caught up in a bad way, meaning we never then matched their rates, because we had such few deaths in that first segment where we basically lived like it didn't happen.
And cast your mind back to right at the start of this, when we were talking about flattening the curve and why we were flattening the curve. It was because if the hospitals got overwhelmed, then it all goes out the window. There'll be people dying from non-COVID things because they can't get into hospitals and that sort of thing. So again, that was another decision that was made based on experts saying that that's what we should do, and excellent communications coming out of the government. Everybody knew what we had to do and why we were doing it. Not confusing.
Yeah. Well, listen, we've said it before and we'll say it again, and it's not just aimed at Christopher Luxon. However, politicians in general, there seems to be quite a lot of wrong data coming out from him at the moment. If we see it and we know about it, we will highlight it. Probably a good time to mention as well that you can always get in contact with us. In fact, there are quite a few people who have been sending messages to us and sending information to us. We do have a Facebook page, and we are actually in the process of it's on the way, launch our website as well. And on that website, there'll be a really easy way to contact us through email and that sort of thing. Where is our Facebook page? I'm having a look at it in the messages. Dun, 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 dun. Do we have one? Oh, there we go. There you go. There's the Facebook page. If you see it and it looks like something that you think we might be interested in to talk about, then fire us some information. You know, we've several times we've used information that's coming from you guys to highlight a story that night, because we can't be everywhere. And contrary to people thinking that we're being paid for by the government, we're still sitting here in New Zealand here, you know, I'll take your money. We're not, which means both Chewy and I do other things during the day to pay the bills. So yeah, we can't see everything. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to segue. I didn't mean to segue into this, but let's do this now.
Even if we were getting paid by this mysterious fund that the right wing have latched onto, the Public Journalism Fund, even if we were getting that money, it wouldn't change anything.
No. Look, let me just put that to bed. 100%, yeah? 100%. Sean Plunket rallies against Public Journalism Fund, yeah? Because he thinks that when public money is involved, then that makes something nefarious, that gives it an agenda, that means, you know, government's controlling it.
Wait till
a couple of weeks ago,
roads.
Couple of weeks ago, he happily shared a photo of himself, and we're happy that he's well. We don't want anyone to be unwell, and happily sung the praises of our public health system after he had heart issues and is feeling a lot better. And I couldn't help but think, if public money equals, bad outcomes, why aren't you going private, Mr. Plunket? Probably should be
surprises me that he didn't.
Probably should be Ms. Plunket, shouldn't it? If it's Karen Plunket. Anyway, so it's like this is the horse shit behind the shell game that we often talk about. If public money equals like a vested interest or a nefarious situation or bad, then stay the hell out of public hospitals. Make sure when your house burns down, you don't call the fire department. Make sure when you need the police, you hire your own private security. Because if public money equals bad, then stay away from public money. Pretty simple, really. Speaking of us keeping the lights on, I actually wasn't going to bring this up tonight, but it just seemed to flow so naturally. Our Patreon is open. If you've been watching us for the last few weeks, you know that there's some stuff going on at the moment that we are going to talk about on Friday night. I think it would be fair to say. If you know what I'm talking about, then make sure you're with us on Friday night. If you don't, then come on Friday night and you'll find out. But one of the things, if you know, you know, secret handshake. But one of the things that we are definitely doing is we are now actively and unashamedly saying that we are independent media. And at some stage with what we're doing, we are going to need to be able to cover some costs. And so here you go. Here is our Patreon. And you can be as little as a $5 a month coffee runner as a part of BHN, as much as a $250 a month executive producer. There are things that come with it. There are levels that go with it. And we are going to start very shortly, maybe even this Friday. We'll see. Having Patreon only content on there, especially, when it comes to things like long form conversations and long form interviews. They will be things that will be going on Patreon only and not going on YouTube. You'll get clips on YouTube, but long form interviews from now on are going to be going on Patreon. Someone asked me the other day, will all levels get access to the long form conversation? I haven't made that decision yet. I'm sorry, but you can sign up anywhere you like. And then if I decide, you can change. But I'll tell you in advance, I'm thinking it will start at $15. I think access to all of our content will probably start at $15 a month. And I'm just being honest with you, there's not going to be dozens of pieces of content on this to start off with. You're primarily getting on board to support us, to support what we're doing, and to help us actually start and continue to do this. So if you're interested in being a part of the team, we should put the other one up. Hang on, let me put the other banner up, Joey. Let's put the team one up, the manipulative one up. Come and join the team and help us keep making independent news. Patreon.com/Big Hairy News. And for those of you guys who have already signed up, we're really unbelievably grateful. And you will be hearing from us or hearing from me within the next few days. I'll do the first email out or update on the site just to let you know where we're at and what's going on. Yeah, I think that's about it for that. So patreon.com/Big Hairy News. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, as we always say, the super chats are always open. Chewy, has anything been going on in the chat that we need to highlight?
No. Well, apart from there's I think there's a comment from Facebook that has just noticed that we're going out on Dunedin News.
Yeah.
So I mean that's awesome. Usually it's just the YouTube crowd. But yes, I would have mentioned the comment was since when does Dunedin News do live streams? Now. It's from now, if you've just noticed. If you noticed beforehand, it was back then.
Yeah. We're trying something. We're joining with some people. I think ultimately, if I'm really honest with you, I think ultimately our audience is going to be YouTube primarily. I mean, should what we're doing be uptaken by people? Because we're still in sort of a launch stage. Should it be? Then we will... I imagine that'll be our audience. But the other thing to remember is we're talking about New Zealand things mostly. Yes, we love our American politics. And yes, we talk about European issues and world issues as well. But primarily we're a New Zealand audience. So actually, this isn't, we're not, I was watching a guy make miter joints today on YouTube. You know, we're not a DIY show that can be seen in every country and have all the same content. Well, this is going to be mostly a New Zealand audience, which means we're always going to be small because we have a much smaller pool to get it from. That's a very nice response from Free Soul. If that would be the case, that would be fantastic. Although obviously TYT today is very different from what TYT was 5 years ago. And there are some ructions going on there. But, this is not the target. We don't aim to emulate anybody else. But what we're doing is at the moment currently fairly unique in New Zealand. There's no one else really doing this. And look, we'll say it, and we're not ashamed by it. We are actively approaching these conversations from the left, if that wasn't very fucking obvious tonight. And that's also something that's not happening in New Zealand media very much, actually. There's a lot of right conversation. There's a lot of conservative conversation. I have myself been told by someone in radio that they think, because I work in talk radio, or used to, that the talk radio future for the next 10 years is conservative. So that's where they're actively pitching their market and their audience. So places like this, or place like this, because I don't know if there's anywhere else, to be honest, place like this is where to come to get this kind of content, and to find out, as we group brainstorm together, how we're going to make a t-shirt about Karen Plunket. What do you think? What do you think, Karen Plunket? And then underneath it, can I speak to your manager, please? We've got to do something to do with the. I
want to speak to the manager of socialism.
I will be interviewing you! ! Something like that. We'll figure it out. I'm actually literally. I've got some t-shirt, guys. In fact, those t-shirts that I've showed before, these ones here, that actually you can get on our Patreon. These ones, see, that's black on black. And the other one is Otago colors. Otago Highlanders. Yellow and blue. There's guys down in Kaikodai Valley who printed these. So I might even stop into them tomorrow and see if they want to do a profit share split or something. Because if we go to them, what's the cost, and let's split the profits and we'll sell them. Maybe we'll be able to do something. Yeah, Kooky, you've got it, Kooky. Maybe if there's a graphic designer out there that wants to do some work with us, then go to patbrittenden.com, contact me, and we'll put something together. We could do this super quick if I can find a screen printing group, and we'll put them out there. It'll be fantastic. And then we'll do. When I was working for More FM, there was an afternoon show called Brent and Lance. They did the afternoon show in More FM Auckland, and they did this competition once. It was called Brent and Lance Everywhere, and it was a full life-size cardboard cutout of this radio show, and it was take them everywhere and take photos and send them back in, and you got points. And it was like a local landmark was 5 points, a national landmark was 15 points, an international landmark was 35 points, a local celebrity was 5 points, national, international, and then they found a winner. Maybe we could do something like that. We could do BHN everywhere or something like that, and see if we can start spreading the word that way. A little bit of viral marketing. All right, we were going to talk about something else to do with what are they? Voices for Fuckwits, but I reckon maybe we'll pick up on that tomorrow night, because it's really just talking about them pivoting and trying to find new scams,
frantically scrabbling around.
Yeah, now. because they're missing out on stuff now because there's no mandates to rally against. So what do? I think Fire and Fury talked about agenda surfing. I think that's what they call it.
Yes.
So they're in the process of agenda surfing and try and figuring out.
What do you reckon? 5G, fluoride, 1080,
trans issues, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already see that happening. So yeah. All right. Actually, look, I mean, Free Soul's just talking about Bromley as well. We could do a whole series of Karens. Oh my God, I'm actually a little bit turned on right now. Just a little bit with this idea.
Actually, there is one. I don't know.
I think I need to go and be with myself for a while, shall we?
Cool. Thanks for that nightmare fuel. There was one nugget of news that I wanted to bring up. We were talking about this a little while ago. Oh God, what's his name? Arps up in Christchurch. Arpsy the
is it
the
accident?
Running for that school board, and they were worried about that. So that election has happened, and he came dead last.
Oh right, I did see that. I didn't read it, but I saw the headline saying white supremacist fails to get onto school board or something like that.
He got something like 20 votes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Geez, wouldn't you want to know who voted for him in the school then? You'd stay away from
and pretty much go, cool, you're not allowed on school property anymore. So yeah, I mean, this is just a wee taste of all going well in these local body elections. We should have basically a super cut of all of these candidates, like Bromley, talking to his phone in the park, tears in his eyes, that it's all a conspiracy. So just something to look forward to.
And look, so many good people doing good things. You know, people we've talked about lots of time before. Dudley Benson here in Dunedin doing amazing things, exposing some of these lunatics out there. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you have these beliefs and you want to run for office because you want these beliefs to be represented in Parliament or in local body politics, then run on them. Run on those issues. What's happening at the moment is people are trying to hide why they're doing it, and they're not being honest. Like if you were someone who thought that 1080 should be banned, and that was the biggest reason that you were running for local body politics, it would be incongruent to not actually go out there and say that you're running to get 1080 banned. It would actually be dishonest.
And that has been the standard for years now, people running on single issues. We had the 1080 and anti-1080 guys. We had legalized cannabis guys, all of that sort of stuff. This is the one issue that I consider to be important. And there's nothing wrong with that. If somebody wanted to run on the basis that the vaccine mandates were wrong, sure, I strongly disagree. But you know, you're being upfront with who you are. It's when you're concealing it, and when you're saying that you don't have any part of Voices for Freedom, when in fact you were the Otago coordinator of it up to a week before you threw your hat in the ring for the council.
Yeah,
you can get fucked.
Hey, I got a really important question for you. Do you reckon I looked much, much fatter on that picture?
Yes.
I do, eh? You can tell.
Where's that one from?
Oh, fuck. I don't know.
That's from the intro thing.
Yeah, not that long ago.
Yeah. So what's that? End of last year started this?
No, not even. It was after about a month into it.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it was probably after about 20 episodes. It was probably, amazing. I'm just kind of being self-indulgent now. Oh yeah. We all know that if you're getting into this game, you're on some level, you have an amount of arrogance and stuff. And I was just trying to blow myself up there a little bit, which is not what Karen Plunket does.
Blow yourself up.
Well, what Karen Plunket does is just blow himself. I was trying to blow myself up. All right.
Scandalous.
I will do my best. I do have a podcast tomorrow morning with Mr. Don McGlashan, and I've said that 3 times because I'm very excited about. I used to live in a place called Mount Roskill, Hillsborough, Mount Roskill in Auckland, and in Mount Roskill is Dominion Road. So there's a vibe, and every time I drive, I'm on Mount Albert Road and I drive across Dominion Road, every time, bum bum bum, Dominion Road, now. And so I get to tell the man that tomorrow, and I'm sure he will shrink away in horror because I will be come across like a stalker. If you're interested in that podcast, I'll tell you about it tomorrow night. It'll probably be up on Friday morning on the same YouTube channel, but it's a different product. It's a Department of Conversation. So if you're a fan of Don McGlashan and you want to know more about the halfway house, halfway down Dominion Road, then that'll be out probably Friday morning. All right, Chewy. Hey, love you to bits. Thank you for being with us tonight. A little bit of a disorganized show. And, I look forward to hearing from people via patbrittenden.com. There's a contact tab there. Also go to the Facebook page and you can contact us there as well. If there's a graphic designer out there who wants to help us design the Karen Plunket t-shirt, get in touch and I'll move quickly, yeah? Because it's actually a fucking good idea and someone else will do it. So we'll move quickly if there's someone who wants to do it. I think Karen Plunket here, Karen Plunket, and something like, I will interview if I want you, or something that's going to be along those lines. Maybe we'll find a quote, because actually that's the thing about the quote will probably be as ridiculous as something we're trying to make up. So, and then we'll sell them, and it's just another way that maybe we can help keep the lights on here a little bit, and also just fucking laugh every time we think about it. All right, team. Anything else, Meister?
No, I am good.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hey, thank you for the chats tonight as well. It's been fun. Sometimes you guys are too clever and I look at it and I get distracted because I see something scroll past and that makes me laugh, which is not useful in the slightest when I'm trying to be all fucking serious and broadcasty. I think I need to start shouting at guests more. I think that's the method we're trying to do. See, like this. Look, read that one.
Yep. Too good. Can the quote be in Māori? Yes, it can.
Oh my God. I need a moment.
He's just done a. No, I'm not even going to say it.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. All right, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow night from 10. Have fun. Stay safe. Just remember, like Anna said to us 2 nights ago, COVID, the virus itself, hasn't been told that it's safe for you to just do whatever the fuck you want now. I'm not telling you to do anything, right? But the virus hasn't signed on to that agreement quite yet. Just to remind you about that, and I'll leave it with you. All right, team. All the best. Catch you next time. Hooroo.
Cheers.